Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mike's Computer Tip. I'm Mike, and my channel is about computer repair, computer tips, how to maintain your computer, and if you have any computer problems, we answer them, and all things computer, basically. We like to mix it up, and today I want to talk a little bit about different brands of computers. You know, there's so many different brands. People ask me all the time, like, which computer should I buy? Is Dell good? Is HP good? What are the brands I recommend? And things like that. And some of the answers have to do with what do you use the computer for? Now, if you're just a basic user and you get on there and you check your email, I'm going to change this lighting a little because this light is kind of in my face. So, yeah, if you just get on there, check your email, surf the internet, maybe go to YouTube, I hope you do, and maybe do Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. But you're not making videos, or you're not, doing editing, and you're not a gamer. So say you don't do any of that stuff. You just do basic stuff on the internet, like, a majority of the people do. And there is a lot of gamers out there. We'll talk about that in a little while. But I would say, a store-bought computer will probably do just fine. If you're not into, like, the best parts and, you just want something that, when you turn it on, it'll work and it'll do the things you need it to do. I would say Dell is good, HP is good, and all the brands that, you see in the store. HP is probably the most popular one because, and second would be Dell. They kind of go hand in hand. And they're both very good. I use both of them. I fixed both of them. And, over the years, I've had a lot of different HP computers and a lot of different Dell computers. So for this type of user, something in a store, off the shelf, would do just fine as long as you have a decent amount of hard drive space and, pretty good video and, Windows 10. I would say, you're good to go. And the prices vary, it really depends even on the store-bought ones, the prices I notice vary, even from store to store. If you get like a really good processor, you're going to pay more money. If you get more memory, let's say it's a 16 gig memory, you're going to pay more money. 8 gig is about the average. Most computers now will come with 8 gigs of memory, which is adequate to do everything I talked about, basic computering, getting online and doing all the basics. On the other hand, if you're going to be into gaming, let's say you want to play games and you want to edit videos, you want to do like high-end stuff, I would say your best bet would be to have a desktop, obviously, because desktops are more powerful. Laptops, they do have high-end laptops, but they're not as powerful as as a good desktop would be. You can do stuff on a laptop, which are high-end, but you'll be able to do much more on a desktop. I would say you probably would be best suited to get a custom computer, someone that builds a computer, to build one for you with, high-end parts, because whenever whenever you buy a computer in the store, you're not always going to get the best parts. They mix them up. Sometimes you'll get a halfway decent motherboard with, a good processor and a good amount of storage. I mean, it varies. I'm not knocking the computers that you buy on the show. As far as ones these days, the last couple of years, they've come a long way and they've gotten a lot better. But the desktops are more proprietary. You can't really upgrade a desktop too much that you buy off the shelf because they just don't have the capacity to upgrade. The motherboards are not high-end motherboards. So that's why I say the store brand, the store off the shelf for the basic user is fine because you're not looking for the high performance. But as a gamer and somebody that's going to edit videos, you want to get a high performance computer. You want the best motherboard or a very good motherboard that has the capacity of doing different things high end because you're going to be, doing video editing. So you're going to need much better video card. You're going to need more memory and even better memory. And you're going to need a better processor. And when somebody builds you a custom system, you have the option to, buy a better parts. You can buy them online, and you can get better processor, better memory, and better power supply. Even because that's important when you're doing gaming and when you're doing editing. Is you want a power supply that will handle all the different things that you have on your computer. You want to have enough power and a good, quiet power supply. They have power supplies today now that are fanless and they're just quiet. On your computer, you're used to hearing the fans on the older ones. Well, the newer power supplies, some of them are fanless and they're very quiet. And a lot of the new computers today are much quieter than they were a few years ago because you have better fans, you have better parts. So that's the real difference. When you're looking for high end, you're going to need high end stuff. You're going to need a couple $100 video card. You're going to need a few $100s to invest in a CPU, which is your central processing unit, which is your processor, the brains of the computer, the chip. That's going to be the most expensive part of the whole operation. And a good motherboard. MSI is like top of the line. Asus makes very good motherboards. There's other companies that make good motherboards also. And you have an option of using an Intel processor or an AMD. Most people use Intel because there's less problems with compatibility and different. I've noticed that when you use AMD, which is a very good processor, they don't work good with everything. Sometimes you have problems. So I would suggest getting an Intel processor, high end, maybe an i9, which is like, top of the line. And it's going to cost you good money. They're pretty expensive. But that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the quality of the computer and all the parts inside it. And the other end of that is, a low-end computer that doesn't have that high capacity. So there's two ways to go. Gaming, you're going to need all much better parts, high-end parts. It's going to cost more money. I would say anywhere from to start maybe 600 on up, and it depends on your budget, how much you're going to be able to spend, and determining what type of computer you're going to have, because you can find good deals on parts, but the better parts are still more expensive than the cheaper parts. So keep that in mind. And also, I would recommend if somebody is going to build you a computer, make sure they have a track record of building computers, because you want to know if they have the know-how and the skill. So make sure you get somebody that has a lot of experience in building computers. And by you telling them what kind of things you want it to do, they will know what type of parts you will need. So keep that in mind. And don't be afraid to ask, can you recommend references from people if you're not familiar with them? Can you give me the names of 3 people that you have built a computer for lately? And I can ask them, are they happy with the computer? Because there's a lot of different people that are out there building computers. And you want to find somebody that has a good track record and that people are happy with their computers, because not everybody is going to be happy. Just like a car mechanic, some are better than others. You may have a bad experience with a car mechanic, or you can have a bad experience with computer builders. So make sure you have a budget and you're dealing with somebody that has the experience and the background and the knowledge and that has built several computers before, because you will need that in somebody that does that. And they will be glad to give you references if they are, qualified and good at what they're doing. So don't be afraid to ask. I have bought computers and upgraded them myself or with friends that also, do computer repair or do upgrades and, work on high-end computers. And that can save you some money if you get a decent computer and just have somebody upgrade it, where you can start from scratch. There's 2 ways to go when you're upgrading or building a computer. You can build it from scratch, or you can get a decent one and make it better. So that you have to really, and like I said, a lot of it has to do with budget, but, ask around, talk to some people, call up some shops, find out who is good at building computers, and find out what they charge to build them and what kind of parts they're using. And, you need to, be involved in that to a certain degree. I mean, I wouldn't say pester the people to rush into doing the job and that kind of thing, because you don't want a rush job. You want somebody to take your time and do things right. Because building a computer, is, can be a tedious job, and they have to, take the time on doing everything. But you want to have somebody that is knowledgeable. So I hope that information is helpful to you. And also, if you have any friends that have problems with their computers, ask them where they have gone to have their computer repaired. Or if you know anybody, you have friends that have custom-made computers, ask them if they're happy with their computer that they had built for gaming, and, maybe speak to their people that built it, and, you can talk to them about having you build one and get some prices and ideas. So you have to, ask around. If you're a gamer, it's a good chance you know other gamers. So talk to them about, hey, like, where did you get your computer? Blah, blah, blah. Are you happy with it? What kind of parts do you have? How much do they cost? And that's also a very good way to find somebody to build you a system. And even some of these gamers, they might have the knowledge and of building computers, and they might have even built their own. So you might want to hire someone like that to build you a computer. But like I said, you have to weigh the options, and your budget is determining on, how good it's going to be and how good the parts are going to be. Because good parts aren't cheap, and cheap parts aren't good. And that's for sure. You don't want to build a computer like if you were going to build a house. You wouldn't want to build it on a bad foundation. Well, it's the same thing as a computer. You don't want to use a cheap motherboard, circuit board, and then put good parts on it. You want to get a motherboard that is high quality and then put good parts on that. You see what I mean? And that's what you want. So I'm going to make this video short. I just wanted to make a short video to give you an idea about different computers and what the usage that you may have, and weighing the different options. If you're a regular user, you can buy something in the store and that should do you fine. Just don't buy a cheap processor. If it says Celeron and it's a Celeron processor, don't go near it because that's cheap. Anything else is decent. So make sure if you buy something out of the store, off the shelf, that you're not getting an Intel Celeron processor, because that is the low end of the spectrum. Make sure you get something that's decent. Okay? And if you're having someone build a computer, make sure they know what they're doing and they use high quality parts. That is what you have to do. And just expect to pay more, but you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for a decent system. I know that you can get a decent system for maybe around $800, all the way up to, $1,500, $1,600. So, and even on the low end, you could still have a decent computer. So I'm going to wrap this up. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them for me and I'll answer them. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and make sure it's on all so you see the video first. This is Mike from Mike's Computer Tips, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.